What's up, everybody? I got something a little different for you here today. So I posted that little montage of my Godrick kill, and everyone seemed to like that. So in an effort of drumming up interest in the challenge run scene, I thought I would follow that up with a full-on guide on how to do it yourself. And at the same time, I'll show you some tricks I learned that may actually be useful for speedruns that involve Godrick, because I haven't seen anyone use this tech. Although I didn't look very thoroughly, so I could be mistaken there. So the run I'll be showing is a level 1 Wretch run with the base club, no upgrades, no summons of course, and no damage. And I'm also trying for good times, so that means I also run a very aggressive playstyle, as you'll see. And this particular run, which I'll show at the end, was just over 3.5 minutes long, which as of this posting I think is the fastest that I've seen. Not that there's a huge speedrunning scene for challenge runs, but hopefully this video will help fix that. It is very beatable, as it does have some mistakes, which I will point out when we get to them. So this kill, like any Wretch kill, will rely heavily upon stunning the boss. Each move in Elden Ring deals a varying amount of stun damage, and the best way to describe it is it's sort of like the Sekiro posture meter if you played that game. The order of most to least stun damage of attacks is as follows, at least speaking two-handed here, which you should always be in, is a fully charged heavy, after that a jumping heavy, then a standard heavy, a jumping light, and then finally just a normal light attack. And keeping track of these while also focusing on dodging and attacking is going to be a key part of your strategy. Anyways, getting into the actual fight here, let's just go over each of his moves one by one and how I handle them. So in the effort of attempting a quick run, I of course start off sprinting like a naked greased up lunatic, and his opening salvo here will usually be one of two moves. Either this slow wind up uppercut swing, or this leap swing. So the slow uppercut swing will sometimes trigger at long ranges, and it really is quite slow, so much so that you can sneak in a running light. You do have to do it early enough, and if you mash dodge, you can barely get out of it with no hits. And then after that, this move is punishable with a fully charged heavy swing. His other most common opener is this leaping swing, and if you're fast enough, you don't even need to dodge it. Just sneak under his left arm, as you can see here, and punish it with another full charge. He also has this jumping smash, which of course you want to dodge, and unfortunately punishing it can be a bit finicky. You can heavy plunge, but if you're on higher elevation, therefore having a fraction of a second of extra landing time, if he follows that up with a quick wake up, you will get hit. And because of that, I usually just do a half charge heavy, since it seems way more consistent to me. And his next move I like to call Lamb Sauce, because he swings it in sync to that Gordon Ramsay meme, where he's pissed off that his cooks are taking too long to produce the requested lamb sauce.
Where's the lamb sauce?
Yeah, I'm kind of weird if you haven't figured that out yet, but the way I handle it is to stay out for the first swing and roll into the follow-up. Doing so will make him continue his combo, which is another sweep, and the sweeps are money because they mean that you can usually jump it, and when you can jump it, you can sneak in another heavy plunging attack. That is exactly the case here, and after performing that properly, he'll wind up the finale of the combo. I give it like a half a second, and then dodge into either a half or a full charge heavy. It depends on the timing of your dodge roll. And one of the moves that you want to see, because it is so highly punishable, is the ground pound. This move does change between phases, and this is the phase 1 version, and what he'll do is he'll have a long wind-up slam, and a moment after that, he'll jam, completing the fabled slam jam, thus completing Shadow Barkley's final transformation. So if you want to punish it and be safe, what you want to do is you want to sort of wrap around his left side here, and if you're quick enough, you can avoid his axe. His axe does have a hitbox during the slam, so you of course don't want to touch it, but if you wrap around sort of like I'm doing here, you can sneak it in, and during that jumping light, you're going to want to be mashing the jump button, and this is something I call animation buffering. I'm not sure if there's an actual name for that, that's just what I call it, and whenever I say this, what I'm referring to is that in these bosses' combos, you can sometimes eliminate the old man reflexes by letting the game handle the timing. A really good example of this is in my Margit guide. This double charge he does, as long as you have good timing on this first dodge roll, if you mash a light hit, and during that light hit you mash dodge, it's free every time. There's no timing in this outside of this first initial dodge. So there are a few instances of that going on with Godrick here as well, as you'll see, but just so you know, this is what I mean when I say animation buffering. So during this jumping light, mash jump, and then of course heavy plunging before you land. Like I said, this move has pretty big recovery, so you can even throw in a fully charged heavy after that. On my run, my heavy plunge ended up stunning him before I could do that though, which gets us into how to handle the stuns, and we have some new tech here. At least I think it's new because I've watched a ton of Godrick Wretch runs, and I've not seen a single person do this, and it's absolutely huge because it guarantees you 2 fully charged heavies. So what people have been doing is they go for the face crit, and the problem with this is that the face crit sends him flying too far back to follow it up with something. Unless you're lucky and he does something slow, even a jumping heavy is often a trade with this wake up. However, I found out that if you do a back crit, which is very easy to do because you can do it from his sides as you can see, and after the crit animation you take a step forward and you can hit him right in the balls with a fully charged heavy off of his wake up, and he'll always follow that up with a quick leap, which you can simply strafe right to avoid, no dodging needed. And of course this is punishable, and you want to follow that up with another fully charged heavy. So in summary, a front crit will sometimes give you a heavy plunge, many times resulting in a trade, and a back crit results in 2 fully charged heavies every time. Never having speedrun anything before except my love life, I got a pretty big chip off my shoulder for this little trick. Anytime you can force a move out of a boss is amazing, and this is a pretty integral part of the Godrick Wretch run strategy, and you can probably just use it in a normal fight. I haven't tested it, but I'd guess it should be universal across all weapon types, as long as you're not using something super slow. So once you get that first stun, you're in a pretty good position because you can get so much progress on the next stun if you do end up using this backstab strategy. And speaking of stuns, it's also important to mention to not rush for your crit. The stun animation is pretty long. It's long enough to get a heavy plunge or maybe just some stamina regeneration if you're running low. Usually I try to get that jumping heavy if my positioning and stamina allows for it. Moving on to some of his other moves though, in close proximity he'll often do this really unimpressive roll. I guess his equip load is a little maxed out, and if you're close enough he'll often follow it up with this double swing, and you have 2 choices here. If you stay out, he'll rear back a bit and do this charging spear, which you just dodge forward and punish with a full charge heavy. And if you choose to move up into the double swing, you'll trigger this third really slow swing, and you can punish this in a variety of ways. I just go for a heavy plunging as you could see, but this I do consider a mistake in the run because I think maybe an optimization for it is to sneak in a running light. This is a pretty long windup, so I'm pretty sure you could sneak that in and then dodge the swing and then opt for a fully charged heavy instead of this just single jumping heavy. I think the jumping heavy is the safer option really. Otherwise, if you are further away when he rolls, he'll often go into this really slow overhead attack, and you want to delay your dodge for this one because it is so slow. And as a reward, as you can see, you get a full heavy charge. And next is his big combo. He'll start this off by raising his axe up, and he'll let loose a 5-hit combo, and there are a few ways of dealing with this. Maximum damage but a little risk is to stay out for the first 3, dodge into him on the 4th, and then heavy plunge into a fully charged heavy. Even though his finale is an overhead, I have never been caught with it from a plunging attack, as long as you're jumping into him. Like you want to be butting up against him mid-jump. The only problem with this is sometimes you'll just jump past him. I think it's a terrain thing. You don't get hit, it's just that you miss out on the plunge, and if you land too far away, you won't be able to get that full charge heavy. In this run, I just played it the safe way, and I dodge into him on the 4th, and then immediately follow that with another dodge. And as long as you're close enough after that first dodge, which is right around here, you can just smash the second dodge, and then you'll land behind him, which allows you to start charging your heavy a bit earlier, as opposed to just staying out and dodging the 5th, which is the current meta I've seen. Another pretty common move is his whirlwind. He'll often use this in close proximity, and he signals it by whipping his axe above his head. So if you are in melee range, you want to dodge away as soon as you see it, and he'll follow that up with 2 moves depending on your proximity. Either the sonic booms if you're further away, or this leap if you are closer. That's not a 100% thing, Sometimes he'll just sonic boom even if you're right near him. It just seems that the closer that you are, the more often that you get the leap. Anyways, the leap is the ideal move to deal with because it's much more punishable and easier to dodge, in my opinion. And what you want to do is, as soon as you see him rolling, you want to sprint towards him, and when he jumps, circle around him counterclockwise and keep that angle tight, because if it's too wide, he'll outturn you and just nick you with his axe. But if you are close enough and fast enough under him during his leap, sprinting counterclockwise will result in a whiff, no dodge needed, and you get a fully charged heavy as a reward. Otherwise, if you get the Hadoukens, you have to time 2 dodges, and the way I do it is that on his 3rd stomp here, this big wind AoE, I start counting. He always throws the sonic booms with the same timing, and if you start at 0, you want to dodge at 1.5 and 2.5 seconds. So on this stomp, I actually start counting aloud. So 0, 1.5, 2.5. So as long as you can count that high, once again, you remove a lot of the old man reflexes from the equation, which is always a good thing, and you sort of automate things. He also has this retreating double axe swing. It's one of his quicker wake-up moves when you're right on top of him, so just expect that in melee proximity. The way I punish it is with a heavy plunge on the 2nd swing, because the swing is quite low and pretty easy to jump over, assuming that your terrain isn't disadvantageous. At around 60-ish%, once he crosses a threshold, any hit will stagger him back, and he'll start his phase 2 transition and chop away at his arm. He takes reduced damage here, so your hits won't have as huge of an impact, but anything still helps, of course. Keep in mind that you can still get hit by the axe at this point, so don't be anywhere near his left arm at all. Usually I just get behind him and start spanking him. If you're fast enough, you can get 2 full charge heavies and a light. In this run I was a little bit slow and I did miss that final light attack, but it's not a huge deal since, like I said, this transition, he takes very reduced damage. So he does become much more dangerous in phase 2. He gets a few more moves, generally they're harder to deal with, and he'll always start off this phase with what I call the flamethrower, and this is his long-range variation of his flame attack, and the best way to handle it is to just sprint towards him and get under him. Doing so at the start of phase 2 is trivial since, like I said, he does it every time, so it's good practice in learning this move, and it gives you time for 2 fully charged heavies if you're fast enough, which is fantastic. As long as you got those 2 full charge heavies during the transition, you will always stun him here. So you should always deal with this move properly at the start of the phase, but otherwise if he just uses it randomly and you're late to react and you don't think you can sneak under him, what you want to do is stay back, find the highest elevation ground that you can, and then jump it, because you can jump over this attack. Sometimes he'll just use it outright, and other times he'll use it after one of his evasion rolls, so whenever that happens, just be ready to dash under him. And aside from that, he also has his ground flame, and this one's kind of rough. He'll lift his dragon head up here and then aim it towards the ground, and the best way of handling it, if you can, is to get behind him, but you really have to be quick here, and if you're going for a no-hit run, attacking him here even if you are behind him is risky, as his flame can still hit you. Yeah, I know, it's total bullcorn if you ask me. I lost a ton of great runs that way more than I actually want to count. If you are too slow to react, you're in a really bad position, but you can salvage it. The best way of doing that is by sprinting away as fast as possible, because you cannot range it. Obviously in a speedrun this isn't ideal since it wastes a lot of time. And next is his lava toss. He'll start this by dragging his arm across the floor, spinning around, and he'll lob bits of fire into the air, which will then rain down upon you, and it's the same idea as his ground flame. The best way to avoid it is to sprint towards him and try to get behind him. If you are caught in the open, I found that strafing left or right gives me the best chance of avoiding damage, but it's not 100%, and ideally, you close that distance and get behind him. Next is his new Slam Jam, where he will add a final BAM to the combo. The timing is a quick 1-2, and then a really slow third. So for this iteration, I usually just stay out for all 3 because, again, his weapon is still active during all of this, and running into it will result in a hit. But after that 3rd hit, you do have time for a heavy plunge and a fully charged heavy, just like the phase 1 version. I do think that there must be a better optimization for this. What I want to try next time I work on him is seeing if I can sneak in a heavy plunge after the first 2 slams. Anyways though, another alteration is to his whirlwind. He'll add some fire to it, causing it to deal more damage, which doesn't really matter because of course we're not going to get hit by it, right? But it's the same thing from phase 1. The properties of the move remain the same and the same strategies apply. And lamb sauce also does change quite a bit. Having a heftier limb, it's a little bit slower, so just make sure that you don't dodge in too early. And the rest of the move is quite different now, and after the roll, you can get in a hit. He'll often follow that up with a sweep, which I choose to dodge roll, and after the roll, you can get a standard heavy in, and if he does his grab, you want to dodge into him and sort of to the left here as you can see, and punish with a fully charged heavy. Keep in mind though that instead of the grab, he can also lead into his ground flame, which again you want to get behind him, so just be ready for that. And that's pretty much it. The only thing left to do is to memorize all of this crap and react to it all on the fly, and to do it as fast as possible if you are speedrunning it. So I'll let the full kill play now, unedited. Like I said, I think this is the fastest time on YouTube right now. Not that there's a big speedrunning scene around it, but I'm hoping I can change that with this video. So it's a pretty fun little challenge. I think that there's a lot of fun to be had with this if you did beat the game already, and you're looking to take your gameplay to the next level. If you enjoyed it, consider liking and subscribing because I plan on doing the same thing for every boss that I do manage to kill. The plan right now is to kill every major boss in the game like this, so it'll be quite the long road. You may say it's a waste of time. Think about it though, life in general is a waste of time, so let's at least waste it in a way that is fun and rewarding by stripping naked in-game and violently beating creatures to death with a club.